As far as students who are not having the ability to go to the clinical sites, I get a lot of them feeling like, well, I'm not going to be prepared to go into the real world of nursing. That isn't true. It's a concern. You do need clinical time. There's a reason that the BRN requires a certain amount of clinical hours to graduate, because hands-on experience is important. But as a new nurse, no hospital is going to hire you and not provide training and just let you drown. It is one of those jobs where you need to get the theory behind you, the concepts, the lab values, the knowledge base, being able to critically think and interpret medical information in nursing school. You need to get that backbone of nursing school.
I like you to grip up on it.
Tell me how you like it.
Yeah, I like it like that.
Okay.
A little whoppy.
All the wop.
You guys, I wouldn't start this episode any other way, obviously.
That's how we roll.
This is my pea in my pod, the peanut butter to my jelly, the sour to my sweet.
I'm the sour.
For sure.
Yeah.
In a good way. I love you. All right. We brought on Samantha today, you guys.
Thank you for having me back.
I'm so excited about this. This is, I don't know, anytime I bring you on, it's just, you're so fun. You bring out the best, and you have so many great things to bring here today.
I have a lot of opinions.
Well, yeah, I'm here for the opinions.
Yeah.
It's way more fun that way. You know, I like a little bit of, nobody wants the daytime TV of podcasts. Right? Like, we want the real
the
tea.
uncut version of podcasts.
I'm here for that. Good. We like
parental advisory in effect.
Censored. You were warned.
You've been warned.
If you go any further beyond this,
that's on you.
It's on you. I don't want to hear it in the reviews. We don't want to know. Nope. Okay. You're going to enjoy this episode for what it is. I'm really excited about today. Okay, so today we're basically going to be spitballing. We have a lot of topics to cover today. This very easily could turn into a 2-hour podcast.
Be like that sometimes.
Like, I'm not surprised. It's fine. But there's a lot of topics we want to hit on today. And I could not think of a better person to bring in but Sam. So for those, I mean, they've listened back to your episode. But let's just reintroduce you.
If you didn't, go listen. I'm offended.
That was a really good episode.
Episode 7.
Guys. Okay, that was more geared towards your flight nursing. Okay, but what's your background? Let's give it a spiel.
Let's see. So, been a nurse for 9 years. Did almost 8 years in the NICU. It's where I met Tori. We had the good old days. And then I've been teaching nursing school for, oh my gosh, I just hit my 4-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah, has it been that long?
Yes, because I got my master's degree in leadership in 2016.
Okay.
And started teaching. So, I've been teaching 4 years. But I'm full-time teaching theory, like lecture, as of January. So
okay, wait. So you did theory. You also did
clinical for 3 years,
too,
and then now I do just lecture full-time, and then flight nursing, emergency flight.
How are you liking that?
I love it. I'll never work a bedside shift in my life again.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about it. We have talked a lot about that. But like, let's talk about that really quick. Let's just touch on it. So you did bedside, and for the record, both of us started as NICU nurses who were like diehards.
Yes, I did all the things.
Yeah, we were both diehard. We were both
committees, wrote policies, very involved in process improvements, evidence-based research, just improving patient care, improving policy, improving the unit.
Yeah.
Until I wasn't anymore.
Yeah. And then you transitioned and you looked beyond and you went for your flight nursing.
I never thought I would leave the NICU because it's so specialized that I didn't think I was even capable of leaving the NICU because you do pigeonhole yourself a little bit in a good way, but it's so specialized that I was afraid of taking care of any human that weighs more than 10 pounds.
Yeah, so was I. Or has like pubic hair and teeth and
those are like nightmare words to a NICU nurse.
Nightmare.
And now, even though I do NICU transports as part of my flight nursing job, I love the pediatric ICU calls the best. They are so adrenaline rush, thrilling. I love the learning, the critical thinking that goes into it. It's just a whole different ballgame.
Yeah,
so I love pushing myself to learn something new. I think that in nursing, we cannot limit ourselves to one thing And we can't get so stuck in like, I'm this specialty and I'm going to be this specialty till the day I die, which is great. There's some people that have been NICU nurses longer than I've been on this earth, and they're amazing. I thought that was going to be me. I realized that there's a whole wide world of nursing out there. And even now I still say all the time to people, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And people are like, what do you mean you don't want to be when you grow up? You're like a nurse for a decade now. You're a flight nurse. You teach nursing school. You have careers, plural. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Like, I'm definitely not an adult yet.
Well,
at all. We all know that. So
that's a whole separate podcast.
Yeah. So there's just so many options. And I think that don't limit yourself, because once you've mastered something, there's a million other things you know nothing about. There's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that.
We're going to get heavy into that today. So I think, okay, where this all stemmed from, you guys, this particular episode in my head, and I know Sam's been experiencing this a lot, is the amount of questions we have been getting from new nurses, future nurses, just sort of asking us questions over and over and over, repeated concepts or repeated things that we've been encountering.
Education, career advice.
Correct. Bird's eye view of nursing. Like some pretty big general things that both of us see. So we're talking, like she said, degrees. We're going to break down degrees. We're going to break down certifications. We're going to give you the real behind the scenes. We're going to be talking like the actual nursing, not the blogger BS. Like, you guys, I mean, I did a lot of research prior to this looking at.
She like printed out like 900 papers.
I literally have 900 papers.
That's the difference between Tori and I. She's like, okay, I printed this out. Here's our show notes. I'm like, YOLO, let's talk about it. I got things in my head.
Yes, I'm like, I'm going to throw you a topic and here we go. So, but I have done a lot of research on this because the issue, what I see, and I think it is consistent everywhere, is there is a lot of conflicting information out there. And I get frustrated by it as well. Even the way, this is going to sound really silly, some of the terminology that these blogs use, I'm like, who the F is writing this? Like, this is not even accurate. Like, I don't think it's right. So here's the thing. Between Sam and I, we have now, how many years of experience?
Too many.
20? I don't know.
Oh, boy.
God, we're getting up there. Okay. And so Sam is an MSN prepared. She worked in several units. I am working on my degree, woo woo. And, you know, we just have a lot of things to say about this after like just general thoughts. So advanced nurse practitioner roles, certifications, degrees. We're going to dive right in. First thing actually I want to hit before we even dive into that though, is students are very concerned about COVID and like because
you should be. It is a concern.
100%.
It's real. It's not just the flu.
It's not just the flu.
As someone who had a family member hospitalized for 5 weeks and is still recovering at a rehab from it, I can tell you firsthand, as just a healthcare provider, but as a family member affected, it's real. It is a concern. But as a nursing student, experience is important.
Yes. And so, the thought on that being now students are not able to, you can't go into the hospital, you're not having your preceptorships or, you know, on the unit. And, you know, sort of how are you supposed to grow as a nurse, as a student nurse, while you're in school without that exposure? Okay, so I'm going to let you take the mic on this.
I can definitely speak to that because we get so many students in this situation right now that I'm coaching through this. So one, I think it varies very much by location, state by state, your own state regulations, the hospitals where you work, who's allowing students, who isn't. In California, we are very heavily regulated with COVID right now. We are very much still in a lockdown situation. Class is still online. As far as facilities that are taking students, at first it was no one. Now we are slowly starting to see certain facilities open back up to students. That has come down to a matter of, will the students take the COVID patients? As a student, you should, if you have the opportunity to. I get there's also controversy where they're saying, well, I'm not getting paid, and the nurses there are getting paid to do that. But again, you're going into this field where you are taking students. I don't think you should be risking your health ever
Right.
for school, for a job, for anything. And that comes down to the bigger issue of PPE. And you've already touched on that in other podcasts and had guests on that are really on the front lines. And I don't think any nurse anywhere should be taking care of COVID patients without proper PPE.
Correct.
But if you are a student and you have access to the proper PPE, I don't think there's a reason you should limit yourself. If you do not, whether it's because the facility doesn't have adequate, then no, you should not be taking care of COVID patients.
Right.
But if you're properly protected, there's no reason, because we're in healthcare to learn and to take care of patients, and that having isolation patients is part of our job.
Yeah.
But again, without proper PPE, I don't think that that's necessary. As far as students who are not having the ability to go to the clinical sites, I get a lot of them feeling like, well, I'm not going to be prepared to go into the real world of nursing. That isn't true. It's a concern. You do need clinical time. There's a reason that the BRN requires a certain amount of clinical hours to graduate, because hands-on experience is important. But as a new nurse, no hospital is going to hire you and not provide training and just let you drown. That being said, all new grad programs are not created equal. Sometimes people hire new grads without an actual specific new grad program in place as well. But in general, it is one of those jobs where you need to get the theory behind you, the concepts, the lab values, the knowledge base, being able to critically think and interpret medical information in nursing school. You need to get that backbone of nursing school. That's what you get. I will tell you, a lot of times in nursing school and clinicals, your experience even in clinicals varies, because how nice was your nurse? Were they wanting to teach you? Were they wanting to let you do things and be hands-on? Or were they like, just follow me around and shadow me and watch me? Because there's students that go through their entire nursing school and they don't even put in an IV the entire time. They don't ever put in a Foley on a real patient. They don't get the hands-on skills that they do, because it varies by clinical site, by your actual preceptor. So as much as, yes, you are missing out on the exposure, one, this isn't going to last forever. So you're not going to go through your entire program. You are missing out, absolutely, but you're still gaining the backbone knowledge that you should be gaining. And when you get into the field, you're going to get that hands-on experience. I can tell you, when we started in the NICU, I
I'd never done anything.
I might as well have been a first-year nursing student.
Yeah.
The thing that saved me was I had knowledge I understood how to interpret blood gases. I knew lab values. I knew basic concepts of nursing and medical practice that was able to help me then learn the hands-on. But learning how to start IVs and handle patients and reposition small babies and work with all the medical equipment and the IV pumps. Every hospital has different equipment anyways. I've worked at different jobs. You've worked at different jobs. I feel like a new grad every time I start over.
Yep.
When I switched from one NICU to my per diem at another NICU, I felt like a new grad.
Yeah, and then
because I was
unit.
like, this is different pumps, it's different equipment. I don't know what I'm doing. When I started flight nursing, back to square one.
Yeah.
So you're going to graduate nursing school and you're not going to know how to do the hands-on, whether or not you went to clinicals or not, because until you actually get a job in nursing, you're not going to understand how to do the hands-on stuff. But nursing school, you need to prepare yourself as much as possible with the actual knowledge base.
Yes.
So COVID, it sucks. It's disappointing, but it doesn't mean that you're being like cheated.
Correct.
It's a great time to be learning, and we're learning so much in general about nursing practices that in this pandemic is forcing us as a community to look at healthcare and say, how can we do better? And you're part of that.
Yeah, you get to come in at a time where we need, and we need innovation. We need new thought. We need new blood. We need that kind of mindset. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think that this whole focus on needing to have that experience in preceptorship, I get it, and I do understand, and I do validate those feelings. But you guys, I'm not gonna lie, during my preceptorships, I hated some of my sites.
I did
literally
an adult
hated them.
Too, as well.
I hated the hospitals. I did not like the units I was on. I just like the smell, the look, the everything, just like the vibes, like nothing was a Tori kind of unit.
My final preceptor was so mean to me, and she didn't let me do anything. I just spent my full 12-hour shifts following her around, being sad, hoping someone else would like take me under their wing and show me something cool. And it was in adults, and then I went into NICU and I learned everything on the job there.
Yes.
Again, though, I had a good foundation of book knowledge
Correct.
that I needed.
It's a good balance to have. So right now, just speaking to like telehealth, where are you guys at with learning? And
we are
what
doing telehealth, and I think that's great too, because a lot of nursing is learning how to talk to patients and how to communicate effectively. And that's so much of our job. And I've even seen that with COVID right now, having a family member in the hospital. The doctor comes in, tells them one thing, and then they interpret that a completely different way. Our job is so much to bridge that gap in education and learning how to talk to patients. And I do see new grads that start at the hospital, and sometimes when I would precept, I'd see them talking to parents, and I'm like,
yeah, it's like
saying
painful.
That is not, like, stop.
I will say,
you don't want to be rude and interrupt them,
yeah.
But I feel like even just actually telehealth is such a good job to learn how to interact with patients, how to talk to them, how to answer questions, how to develop those communication skills, because that is a huge job in nursing. So I get that it's disappointing, but don't take away from the value of those that are doing their clinicals in that telehealth sort of setting.
Yeah, you can still take away something from it. I think that's really
There's
important.
value in it.
There's a lot of value in it. And I think just kind of getting to the foundation of it, nursing in general, like when you're looking at the foundation of it, is we are focused on holistic care. That is nursing. And I think actually something that Sam and I wanted to touch on a little bit was sort of giving you guys today a little rundown of the foundation of nursing, the many different types of nursing we have, degrees, and how and when it's appropriate to apply each one, because everyone is so different. There are so many specialties, there's so many roles, there's so many things you can do. And I think something that I have seen consistently as well in our generation, and I'm talking like nurses that have been nurses for 15, 10, 8, 5, 2 years, we are the generation where we sort of come into it, and then we're kind of like, what's next? After a certain amount of time, I'm seeing it over and over and over and over, where nurses are just feeling, whether it's a sense of burnout or it's a sense of what's my next move in my degree? What do I really want long term? So today, we really wanted to kind of come in and give you the foundation of each degree, talk about certifications, talk about all that. And I love your opinion on all of these things. So
I love my opinions.
I love your opinions too. Okay, so we're going to break down really quick degrees, right? Because this is like the basis of it. So there are several different types of nursing degrees. So you have ADN, LVN, BSN, MSN, nurse practitioner or advanced degree, doctorate, DNP, and PhD. All of them very different for different reasons. So I kind of want to go through and talk about each role. So LVN, right?
Or LPN, depending on your state. LVN, LPN.
Okay, so this is sort of your most basic version of nursing. So where am I going with this?
So they are nurses.
Correct.
They are definitely needed in our healthcare
system for sure.
My stepdad is currently like at a rehab right now, and he has the most fantastic LVNs taking care of him in that setting. And actually, where I work, I just talked to someone who's an LVN and is interviewing at my hospital, who used to historically have LVNs, did away with them, and now they're actually bringing LVNs back into the system because our patients are just getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and the acute care system is actually being overloaded with just very sick patients, even on the medical floors, and our nurses get spread so thin, and there is value in having the LVNs being able to help do things like med passes, medications, and things like that, and allow nurses to do, RNs to do specific things in their scope of practice, and then let LVNs do, and there's a way that they can work together to provide such good patient care. But the LVN role is definitely a good, it's a fantastic job in and of itself. And then for those that do want to bridge over to an RN role, it's a great foundation. And everyone has a different pathway to becoming an RN. And for some people, that makes the most sense, especially if you want to have a really good job while you're providing for your family and then pursue an RN later. LVN, LPN is a great foundation?
So to become an LVN, it takes about a year. I'm just going to give you guys some quick facts about it. Median pay is about $25. Could be a
Very
little bit more than that.
location dependent for all these things when we do talk about pay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So that is a big thing. State to state, it's very differently.
And regionally, like Northern California pays way more than Southern California.
So take this all with a grain of salt, but we're giving you the general, like, I'm trying to give you, like, the overview. We're going to speak very generally today, but job outlook for projection of 2016 is it's a 12% growth rate, meaning
we need you.
Yeah, we need you. So that's it's becoming more and more popular. Okay, so the step up from that is an associate degree, ADN. Typically takes about 2 years. You can get that at community.
I feel like that's misleading. I feel like because you still have to do 2 years of prereqs and then 2 years of nursing school, it ends up being 4 years, but you're getting a 2-year associate's degree. Kind of, because I was on the wait list for an associate's degree program, and it took me like over a year of doing anatomy, physiology, microbiology.
Yeah.
To do all those prereqs and like English, math, you still have to do all those prereqs and then you get into it. So it's a little, I feel like, misleading. It really is. It's 2 years of nursing school.
Yeah.
But it's
so the only big benefit to that, other than, okay, it's an option if you can't get into a BSN program. So there's that.
Which is very hard because, especially here in Southern California, they're all impacted.
Correct.
It is so hard to get
everywhere.
into a BSN program.
Very yeah, it's tough right now. The other thing with the ADNs is they tend to be less expensive. And I do know that's a big factor for a lot of people. Obviously, some things that we talked about as far as some big factors being, with nursing and deciding your degrees and things like that are financial, the state you live in, the lifestyle you want,
your personal life,
your personal life, your family life, all big factors.
Do you want to take out a giant student loan to get your bachelor's degree or not?
Yeah.
That's a personal decision. For
and
some
you can
people,
get a bachelor's cheaper in certain area. You can go to a state school versus a private school. There's a lot of different ways to do it.
But again, are those state schools super impacted? And for some people, it is worth taking out the student loan and getting the more expensive bachelor's degree because for them, it's a matter of time where they just want to get it done with. And time is money because they see that as, well, I'm closer to my career. I'm going to start working. So it's a very personal decision that you have to decide what is best for you.
Correct. Next step up to that, Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. So that is, I would say, and you could probably agree with me on this one.
So an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree, you both could sit for the same NCLEX and you are a registered nurse.
Correct.
You have the same license. You have the same scope of practice in a hospital. An ADN is not, or a BSN versus ADN, there is no difference about what you can do. One is not better than the other. You are a nurse.
Correct.
The difference is in a bachelor's degree program, one, you have a bachelor's degree, and two, there's a little bit more emphasis and extra classes that you take in research and evidence-based practice, a little more theory courses, and I think public health is that extra kind of one as well.
Yeah. So for perspective, and many of you guys know this who've listened to this podcast, it took me from start to finish 5.5 years to obtain my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. And mind you, I was living out of state. I did work.
Competitive program.
I was going in a competitive
To
program.
apply to get into it.
Yes, several times. And during that time, I was also applying to other programs, trying to get into other ones as well, accelerated BSN programs. I had a backup potential degree just in case I didn't get in. I was still going to have a Bachelor's of Science in, I think it was Family Studies. So even if I did not get into that nursing program, I could still, graduate with that degree and hopefully, apply somewhere else. So my point being with this is, first of all, if you don't get in right away, does not matter. Keep going. If you want it that bad, you're going to land it.
Same thing for me. I applied to, I think, 6 different local community colleges for their ADN program, and they were so competitive. I was on the wait list for 2 years for one of them. I had applied to, private universities, which that tuition was but I'd applied to, private universities
But wait, let's talk about that really quick.
And then I went to an accelerated nursing program because by that time I wasn't old, but in my mind, I thought that I was older.
How old were you?
I was 23 when I started nursing school, 25 when I graduated.
So you're a baby.
I was a baby, but in my mind, I went to college thinking I'm going to graduate I should have been graduated this age. I have friends that have graduated with other degrees, and I'm like, what am I doing? Now I look back and I'm like, I was a
Diaper
baby.
rash.
Yeah.
I love saying
But I just wanted to be done. I was like, I want a job. I want to be in my career. I just want to finish.
Correct.
What is, like, for me, it was about how can I finish the fastest and get out there and start working.
Yeah.
So that's why an accelerated BSN degree was what I chose.
So in the bachelor's degree, you guys, it's a big range as far as how much you make. So
it opens up more opportunities because you can now go into management.
Yes, with your bachelor's, you can.
And other things.
So median pay, this is quick facts from a website. I think this is kind of dated, but their range was between $68,000 and $75,000 a year for BSN. As you know, projected through 2016, a 15% increase in needing this particular role, which aka we need more nurses. So you are definitely going into the right field if this is what you want to do.
And if there's ever a global pandemic that shuts down the entire economy,
world, you're going to have a job.
Essential.
You are essential.
You're still going to work.
You're going to have a work. You're going to do it. So also to speak to the bachelor's degree. So there are accelerated degrees. There are traditional 2-year programs. There are private, public, the range on this is huge. The only thing that I will say, and Sam will say this, is typically most of the hospitals who are hiring in, let's say, level 1 trauma or residency programs, Versant programs, magnet hospitals prefer bachelor degrees. That's just kind of becoming the standard. It's also
very much regional as well.
It is regional.
Like if you have an associate's degree, you're probably looking, it's not to say you can definitely get an amazing hospital job, but the level 1 trauma centers, the teaching hospitals, the magnet hospitals, a lot of them have even made policies of bachelor's degree only. Where I work, they only hire bachelor's prepared nurses.
Correct.
I work with the most amazing ADN nurses that have been there 20 years that are the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah.
But they've kind of, because as a magnet facility, there's such an emphasis on education, they've shifted into that route. So if you have an associate's degree, your job opportunities are there and they're amazing, but you might have to open yourself up location-wise and be more flexible in that sense, where you're willing
to start
at least somewhere that's maybe not your preferred location.
The other thought with that is, let's say you get your ADN and you start in a job that you hate, right? You could always start looking around at facilities and apply to programs with contingency with them of saying, like, yeah, I will get my bachelor's.
I'm enrolled in a bachelor's program.
Correct.
This is my projected graduation date. Even if you get have a bachelor's degree and you start in a job you hate, you get that experience and you can pretty much switch into anything else you want. One of my best friends I went to nursing school with started in adult telemetry, and I texted her randomly and I was like, I know you hate your job. We're doing a new grad or a fellowship for NICU nurses that aren't new grads. They have experience in something else, but they're new to NICU. Are you interested? And she's like, oh my God, yes. And now she's been a NICU nurse for 8 years.
Yeah.
So
next one after bachelor's being a master's of science in nursing. Hello, hi. Okay, so this is the big one that I would say is it's controversial, to be honest.
They're trying to almost now just go straight to getting your doctorate or PhD.
I know.
And even,
it's just craziness. Okay.
Nursing can't make up their minds.
I know. Okay, which is great. I'm here for all the options, but I think just understanding the foundation of it. Okay, so the master's in science.
There's 12 million different types of master's degrees in nurses.
So many, you guys. It's a little overwhelming, to be honest. But okay, so a master's typically completes, you can usually do it in 18 to 24 months. That is typically, I would say, over on top of whatever your base was. Meaning, if you can do ADN to MSN, you can do BSN to MSN. But you have to think about the foundation of wherever your education was. Typically, it's 18 to 24 months on top of that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Typically, when you're talking master's degrees, what's the purpose of getting a master's?
It depends what you want to do. So that's the big question. I chose leadership as my emphasis because I didn't know what I wanted to do and I wanted options. There's a general master's degree that's just a straight MSN, like generalist. There's MSN in education, in leadership, in administration, in public health, in like the IT world. I don't even know what they call that.
Informatics,
nursing informatics.
Yes.
There's clinical nurse specialist. There's nurse practitioner. But some nurse practitioner programs have done away with MSN and it's just a doctorate nurse practitioner program, and you go from a bachelor's to a doctorate because nursing doesn't know what they want to do with themselves. But it depends what you want to do with an MSN. Do you want to be an NP? Do you want to be a clinical nurse specialist? Do you want to be an educator?
Okay, so I want to break that down really quick.
What do you want to do?
Right. Okay, so there's different...
And I say figure it out before you make that leap into nursing school. Unless you don't know, do something very general like leadership.
Correct. Okay, so when you're talking master's degrees, there's two different types of master's degrees for nursing when we're talking nursing. So you have...
hands-on patient care.
Correct. And then you have...
everything else.
Right. So, and what I mean by that is acute care and or advanced nursing degree.
Advanced
versus,
scope of practice,
yes.
like NP.
So we're talking nurse practitioner, we're talking midwife, we're talking CRNA, we're talking the degrees where those programs are typically at least 2, I would say, to 4 years,
with
depending
a lot of clinical
on
hours.
And there can be expensive programs and
it
difficult to
increases
get
your
into.
scope of practice as a nurse. So like for CRNA, you're doing anesthesia. For nurse practitioner, you are working in the sense where you're prescribing medication and diagnosing and things in that scope. So it opens up a completely different scope of practice.
And when we're talking NP roles, so I'm just going to spit off a couple different NP roles for the advanced practice nursing world, right? So we're talking family nursing, FNP, neonatal nurse practitioner, adult gero, pediatrics, women's health, psych nursing. So these are all areas that you can get your advanced degree in. Now, when you're getting even more specific, there's a whole subspecialty of nurse practicing that you can go into. So there's orthopedics, there's emergency medicine, palliative care, oncology, dermatology.
We just hired a trauma NP at our
hospital. Yeah, that's a big one too. Surgery, holistic care, cardiology, nephrology,
pain management. And each of the different types of programs, so for example, acute care or family nurse practitioner or primary care, you can essentially work in these subspecialties as an advanced nurse practitioner. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. And again, this is something where, when you're talking about making the decision or to go into these roles, it's what do you want your lifestyle to look at? Do you want to work in a clinic? Do you want to work in a hospital? How much money are you going to make? What's the advancement on financially for you? What does your family life look like? Where are you at in your life? Do you want to have a family in 2 years and you don't want to be in school during that time? Kind of thinking ahead. Another factor about this particular work, and I've talked about this a little bit with you guys, is despite what people really think, your grades do expire. So if you're going to start applying to these schools, for example, with me, I was applying around my 7-year mark to these programs. And for a lot of these programs, I would have had to retake statistics. Or physiology. And, so there's a lot of factors when you're talking about looking into these programs. I think you touched on schedule and lifestyle. And to me, those are the biggest ones because that's what I considered the most when I went back for my MSN. And I knew lifestyle-wise that I had no interest in patient care in terms of my master's degree. I had no interest in being an NP because I did not want to ever work in a clinic. I didn't want to do primary care. I know we have acute care NPs in the hospital setting, but I also look at their schedule and how much they work. And I'm like, as a bedside nurse, I could throw a few OT shifts and hey, our pay.
Right.
Kind of about the same.
And that's a totally...
But you're taking on such a bigger role with terms of liability and malpractice insurance. And
there's a lot of factors.
There's so many factors where it was the same reasons where I get this question all the time that makes me laugh. You're smart. Why didn't you go to med school? Because I am smart. No dig at doctors. I love my doctors.
We love your doctors.
They're so smart, our physicians.
Thank God for them.
But I look at them and I'm like, y'all are crazy. Your residency and fellowships and then being on call and the hours you put in and you work, they worked their butts off to get where they were, and hats off to them.
Yeah.
I worked my butt off to get where I am, no doubt. But for me, I've always considered lifestyle at the core of like everything.
And I think that's so much for so many people nowadays. Yeah. It's like, you know, that balance, especially when you're talking like nurse burnout, right? Like, I mean, you and I, real. Which is very real, you guys. I mean, that everyone knows here that I'm not shy about that. Nurse burnout. It's hard. It's so hard when you are in the business of people and you're seeing the best and the worst of people in the same moment and potentially the same day. You know, I mean, I know nurses, for example, working through this pandemic where they literally had to zip up a body bag and keep going. I mean, if you think that's not going to cause some PTSD in your life, I mean, we're sadly mistaken. I have done that. I have zipped up a body bag in my career and kept going to help my unit. You and I both done that.
Done it together.
And together. I mean, it's just, this is how real it is. And I think it's really tough because I do think we are in this place of really glorifying nursing and putting it on this pedestal and social media. Which is nice because
we've spent a long time where, yes, we're one of the most respected jobs in the country. Sorry, firemen, but we do beat you out sometimes. No shade.
Real tea.
Little shade.
A little shade.
But at the same time, it is like a thankless job.
Yeah, it is.
I've been lucky where families have written me thank you cards and said nice things, and that always feels great. But a lot of times we weren't ever really given that like recognition. And now from COVID, it's like healthcare heroes work here. Nursing are heroes. I get thank yous just being out all the time. And I'm like, sweet. I've probably gained 10 pounds of COVID weight from break room food because everyone's like, here's cookies, here's treats, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it does feel good to get that recognition and appreciation. But the burnout has been very real. And Tori and I have both gone through it, and we've both switched up our careers significantly based on feeling that burnout.
Yeah.
But I think I put that in the back of my mind whenever I make career decisions. And I think going into any master's degree, you really have to say, what am I doing this for? It's hard work to get the degree. You're not going to just do it for funsies.
Yeah.
So you really kind of want to look at your life and say, what do I want to do down the road with this? And for me, again, I knew it wasn't going to be patient care related. I always was interested in teaching. I've been doing that role my whole life. I used to coach cheerleading, and I have always worked with kids. I really liked on the unit precepting new nurses.
Me too.
And I liked nursing students. So for me, teaching was always something I knew I wanted to do, but I didn't necessarily want to get my master's degree in education because I didn't want to be limited to education. So leadership seemed like the most appropriate because it has opened so many doors for me. I am teaching full time, but I can go into management if I ever want to. I don't. I clearly...
We're not fit for management.
I'm not fit for management. There's no political correctness here. And it's not even actually political correctness. I can't shut my damn mouth. I can't not speak up. I just get myself in trouble. I've spent more time in the principal's office than anyone else ever. Because
Facts.
I don't know how to shut my big trap. But it's from a good place. It's because I care. I'm a very passionate person to a fault.
And I will say that's how most nurses, if you have an opinion, it's always to the detriment. It's always to your patient's benefit, or it's always for the patient's benefit, always. You know, so that's frustrating. Because sometimes that's not always as supported.
No, and I've learned to reel it in and reel it back, but I know that management isn't for me, but there's still so many options, and nursing isn't just a hospital job. So one day if it works better for my family and I want to have some nice little job with a pharmaceutical company,
Totally.
I could pursue that because I have a master's in leadership.
Botox.
I
Injectables.
love Botox. Allergan, if you need me.
Juvederm.
We're
here for you.
You could, like, let's talk Allergan.
Yeah,
because
we're friends.
I think that I should be your Botox nurse rep. But anyways, there's a lot. So I feel like leadership has opened up doors. If I ever want to go outside of the hospital into different areas, I have that option in leadership. And so I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but I've got options because I think for me, leadership was the right move because there's different avenues I can take with that. I'm not stuck with one role.
Yeah. So when we're talking about the MSN degree, quick facts for, let's say, nurse, anesthetist, nurse midwives, nurse practitioners, median pay starting between 110 up to 150 a year. However, I happen to know that nurse CRNAs make way more than that.
And again, it varies by region.
As they should, but also, okay, other factors, you guys. I mean, these are just things we're just spitballing here. CRNA school is upwards of $250,000.
Oh, that just hurt my heart.
Like the good schools that you really want to get into, it's like you're basically paying for like definitely less than med school, but you're paying for school.
You're paying.
You're going to be taking out loans.
Yeah.
So just these are things where you just kind of have to think about it. Does that fit my life? And
my
if it
family
does,
life, the age of how long am I going to be working to even make that back. I keep thinking about going back for my doctorate or PhD. Mm-hmm. I look at my PhD programs. I do this every 3 months. I Google the PhD programs. I went to California State University, Fullerton for my MSN, and they have a PhD like consortium, and I get mail from them inviting me to it every year, and I'm like, I should get my PhD. And then I'm like, I don't want to write another paper.
Yeah,
I don't want to do it. And to me, I'm like, where I'm at in my life and what I want to do in my future, I don't see the benefit in paying for school right now. I'm not to say I won't go maybe back and get the PhD.
I love that mindset. It's a great mindset.
But for right now, I don't want... One, I cannot add anything to my plate. I'm like I'm drowning in my own lifestyle.
Yeah.
But so to add school to the mix would just not be healthy for me right now. But from a financial standpoint, I am comfortable with the money I'm currently making, that I don't want to throw a student loan on to the mix, where I'm like, am I going to make that much more with the PhD than I currently make? Probably not. So is there a return on the investment for me? Not right now.
Yeah.
I might do it one day because I love the idea of people having to call me doctor, especially like I would make sure my brother only refers to me as that.
Wouldn't that be so fun?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Dr. Manicero.
Yes, please.
So if I do it, it's honestly probably just because I'm petty and I want everyone to refer to me as doctor. Because it just sounds cool. But for right now, it's not the right fit for me and my lifestyle.
Yeah.
But again, who knows? That could always change. But for right now, I know that that's just not where I'm at.
Yeah, and doctorate programs, PhD and doctorate programs are definitely going to be your most expensive ones. The MSN degrees typically, like, for example, Natalie, who came on the podcast she was on for 2 episodes. I don't remember which ones they were. But she worked through her whole program and managed to, I think she had worked travel nursing and saved up prior, and then she had like some funds to go towards her program. So there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat.
It also depends private school versus public. I went to a public state school. My MSN cost me $20,000.
Right.
And my hospital gave me $10,000 in tuition reimbursement. So my MSN cost me $10,000.
Right. And, okay, another factor, for example, is your hospital going to kick in some money for it? You know, there's a lot of hospitals nowadays that will.
Wait and go somewhere that will. Because a lot of them do. So if you're going to get an advanced degree, make sure you're working somewhere where their tuition reimbursement program is on point.
Yes.
I got $10,000 to go back, and I used every penny of it.
Some schools, some employers they'll either reimburse, X amount per year. So they'll say, we'll throw you this amount towards your education per year. Some will say, we'll reimburse the whole thing. Some will say, we will do, so just,
sometimes
that's
you
another
have to sign a contract to work for them for so long if they do pay for your school. But get your experience somewhere, and then if you want to go back, look into hospitals that are going to help pay for that.
Correct. We kind of touched on this too, doctorate nursing degrees being the next one up. So this one, I didn't say this, sorry. The projection for MSN degrees for 2016 will increase by 31%. So There you go. That's another really great route to go, regardless of what area you want to go into with your MSN. So, we spoke pretty at length about the advanced nurse practitioner. MSN, though, it's a very big degree when you really think about it.
Oh, yeah, because management is a whole wide
management,
world.
education,
leadership, informatics.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think to have a base of an MSN. How do you feel about direct entry MSN programs?
Okay, so I actually taught for a direct entry MSN program. My first teaching job was for people that had their bachelor's degree in literally anything else but nursing, and then they were starting school as an MSN program, and in that program they would get their RN license midway through the program, but they didn't graduate until they finished with an MSN, and their emphasis was leadership. I have mixed feelings on it. I think if you already have a bachelor's degree, it does kind of suck to go back and get a second bachelor's degree. You don't need 2 bachelor's degrees. So I get it in that sense. If I already had a bachelor's degree, I don't want another bachelor's degree. I would want an advanced level degree. But I think you have to know and understand your place, that when you graduate, you are still a new grad, just like an ADN. You are a baby nurse, knowledge-wise. So you need to make sure that you are accepting that and entering that world very humbly, because you are no better and no smarter than the ADN degree nurse. You are a new nurse. But I get that your previous education shouldn't completely be discounted. But there is definitely some challenges when they are in that nursing program, because there's a lot to learn there, and you're cramming it in. Like, you're having to now learn advanced level things in terms of, theirs was specifically like a leadership field, so you're learning these advanced level concepts, but you haven't even worked a day as a nurse. So I have mixed feelings. I think that it's a good route for some people, and I understand why you would want to go into it. And I actually know someone who went to that program who's a PICU nurse at UCLA, and he is like phenomenal and awesome. So it really just depends on the person. But I just think, I'm saying, if that's the route that you take, good for you. I'm happy for you. It's a good route. But humble yourself and know that when you graduate, you still have a lot of experience to get under your belt till you really fill the shoes of your master's degree role.
So this is actually a very funny story, something I've never told anyone. So you guys are the first to hear this, and definitely top 5 reasons of why I love Samantha. So, and I couldn't think of a better episode to tell you than now. So when Samantha and I started as nurses, the number one thing that every single nurse was wearing was Grey's Anatomy, right? Grey's Anatomy scrubs, that was it. And truthfully, since then on, you guys, that's all I've ever worn. But I want to backtrack really quick. So when I started on Instagram, I remember trying to look around for the Grey's Anatomy company, right? The line, I was looking around, I was trying to figure out how to contact them to, start working with them as an ambassador. And so long story short, Samantha was the one who actually approached me, and she said, "Hey, Tori, so I know someone that works over at Barco Uniforms, and that is Grey's Anatomy." And I was like, shook. I was like, what? How did I not know this? How did I not know that Barco and Grey's Anatomy? So long story short, you guys, I really have Samantha to thank for the initial introduction. And now Barco Uniforms is truly a huge contributor of how I produce this show. Barco has been in business for 91 years, you guys. How many companies can truly say that? 91 years. I'm obsessed with the tailored fit, the fabrics, the feels, everything about every single line, from their Grey's Anatomy signature line to their edge line, their motion line. Honestly, that's actually one of my newer favorites, and the price point of it is absolutely fabulous. So if you guys are interested in checking out a pair for yourself today, head over to barcouniforms.com/stores. And also, you guys, if you're interested, I have a link in my bio. It is permanently there, filled with an amazing list of all of my favorite Barco picks on my Amazon shop page. All right, you guys, without further ado, let's dive back into the show. Okay, next one, doctorate of nursing degree. So this one, I would say, is a little bit more on like healthcare administration, clinical research, advanced clinical practice as well. This one usually takes you 3 to 5 years full-time, guys. This is going to be a full-time kind of gig.
Oof.
Doctorate degrees they're very intense. But anyway, so that's another way to go.
Now we're seeing programs skip the MSN to be an NP because they want you to have that doctorate role. So you can have your bachelor's, and there's a lot of programs where it's like become a family DNP doctorate. They're
That's
like
the
having
new
you
thing.
jump straight and they don't even offer MSN programs anymore. They want you to get your NP as a doctorate degree.
Correct.
Which is more school than
So
your MSN.
that is actually, and that's kind of an interesting topic. So, because
they've been saying forever since I was in nursing
they've
school
been saying
in 2010.
this.
By
Yes.
2015, you're
They're
going to
gonna
have
make
to
everything-
have
Mhm.
your doctorate to be an NP. Well, it's 2020. That didn't happen.
Definitely did not happen.
I mean, we still have 2 entry ways to get your RN. So I don't think that whole having to have your doctorate to get your NP thing is going to happen anytime soon, when we can't even like have one path to get an RN. Like, nursing needs to figure it out.
a
They're
lot
all over
of
the
like,
place.
for example, I mean, I do know a couple girls who went through a DNP program. They're intense. They're pretty intense.
Very intense.
It's more obviously than your master's degrees, you know, and when you're going in for a job, would they take the doctorate NP over the MSN? Probably, unless it comes down to pay, because doctorate NPs are going to want more pay probably than MSNs. So, you know, there's a lot of different factors here. I mean, it just depends on what you want to go into.
I get people asking career advice all the time, and to me it's so personal and individualized what's right for you, because there's so many different routes to get to the same ending that it's really comes down to a lot of personal factors.
Yeah, it really does. And, you know, they are, of course, more expensive. So you're going to be paying more for a DNP usually. I do know, I think she went through Cincinnati, Ohio. One of the girls that I know, she got hired as an FNP, a DNP FNP. And she loves her new job. So, I mean, and she was a NICU nurse. So, you know, it's definitely a good way to go. Is CRNA a doctorate or no?
CRNA is an MSN, but again, there's some programs that have them as doctorates.
Okay. Oh, and also to give
depends
you
on the
guys
school.
a perspective on this too, since we're talking about this, and because I never knew this, physician assistant or PA is also a master's degree. So
Yes.
it's comparable to your nurse practitioner. It's like a similar
Correct.
kind of thing, just a different route. And I love talking about that because the PA route tends to be more medical. It's a medical model versus
Versus
NP
the nursing
route
model.
is nursing. Correct. So that way you guys can kind of understand that difference. The next thing is the PhD. So
You better love research.
you better love it. Okay, so PhD, when you're talking about it, it's the highest level of degree that you can possibly get. Like, there is nothing higher than a PhD. Yes, you can get a PhD in nursing.
It's very much geared towards academia
Yes.
world. So
Research.
like me as a nursing professor should really go get my PhD.
CNOs,
But
I
don't
think.
want to right now.
I know.
CNOs can also have their doctorate as well, because they have one in like business something and something. So DNP for
This is-
that. But yeah, your PhD is very much needed in the academic world, especially if you want to go past just being a nursing professor and be a dean or move up anywhere in the academic world, and then research.
Yeah, so
if you are
this
into nursing research, your PhD is the way to go.
Theoretical foundation of nursing practice and healthcare delivery as a whole. So this is like your bird's eye view. You're
just the
basically,
boss.
you're the boss. You the boss.
I'm gonna get it one day. Maybe.
Yes, queen.
Oh,
So, that all being said, let's talk about money, because money is so fun. Okay,
so good at spending it.
Oh, God.
How do I earn more?
you guys, it's bad. Like, thank God that I have Jacob who
I have
me.
no one, and I just
I know.
furnished my entire place brand new because I don't know.
He
why
just
I'm
knows
this
when
way.
to take, when he says no. He just is like, there's a no. And I'm like, okay, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
tell
yeah,
myself no. I'm just like,
I need to tell myself
just
no.
pick up an extra shift.
So let's talk highest paying jobs in the nursing world. Because everyone wants to know the money. How much money do you make? How much, and I want to know. I always want to know. I love asking people like, okay, so what do you, how much are you making over there? People want to know.
Depends on hospital system, union, non-union, location, years of experience.
It's
I worked
very
at one
all over the board.
2 different hospitals simultaneously, and I was making $17 an hour at this union hospital than I was versus where I work now.
Wait, but let's talk about factors.
Yeah.
Why didn't you stay at that hospital?
Because I was burnt out on bedside. I just was over it, over night shift, over bedside, I didn't want to be a NICU nurse anymore. I loved my time in the NICU. I would not ever trade it in for the world, but I did not want to do it. And then that hospital system wasn't my favorite.
Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting aspect, you guys. I'm
very spoiled by the hospital system I'm in now because we are very evidence-based practice. We are very cutting edge. We provide top-notch, excellent care.
Yeah.
And I really hold those standards very close to my heart, and I'm very much hard to work somewhere else when I have been trained at this very certain level and with high standards.
I think a lot of nurses really battle that, and I will tell you guys, so sometimes money is a big factor, but it's not everything. Right?
It wasn't worth it to me. Even though I took a pay cut when I left that job, it wasn't worth it to me. I liked the people there. I liked everything about it. It just wasn't right for my life anymore, and money isn't everything. I wasn't going to stay at a job just because the pay was higher when it didn't fit my needs anymore.
And then there may be some of you who are listening here who, like, you know, you have a friend, or maybe you're a single mom and you need to make X amount of money per hour to, like, have a lifestyle. Maybe there are so many different aspects of this, right? So if money is your end game and that is like your life, like, then do it. Or if you're like me and Sam,
do what you gotta do.
You do what you gotta do. And sometimes that's just the cold hard facts, right? Like, you're gonna take a job that pays more because you need to.
I feel like we get on this, so here, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna
do it. Oh,
we get on this, like, pedestal of nursing where it's like, this was my calling. I knew forever I wanted to be a nurse. I was called to be a nurse. It's a job.
Fact.
It is, like, we tie our life so much, like, I feel like no one else in this field walks around going like, hi, I'm an accountant. Like, and they're so nursing, we're very much like,
nursing is what you do, not who you are.
Yes.
It's what you do, you guys. I'm going to say that again. Nursing is what you do. And it almost kills me sometimes when I love my handle, Nurse Tori, but, like, it's not necessarily, I actually kind of like, nurse. I'm more than a nurse, right? And that's a really big message I've had, I feel like, lately, is like, you can it doesn't define you as a person. And I think that's something that we really need to tap into.
And I think it's great too. I am so proud to be a nurse. I am not taking away from that. I worked my butt off to be a nurse. I am educating future nurses, and I love seeing them excited to go into the field. I love my nursing students. I'm, like, pretty passionate about teaching, and I put a lot of effort into it. I give you get what you give. I don't know how to talk. Yeah. But the more that they are interested and show interest, the more I give of myself to them. So I do weekly reviews for them. If they're interested and they really feel like they want to get out of it, I'll stay on for 2 hours. If they don't care, I don't care. I can't make you care if you don't care. But if I get very passionate about teaching, and so I'm proud to be a nurse. Tori's proud to be a nurse. It is great. I say with pride what I do when people, like, ask me, but I have a whole life outside of nursing. It does not define who I am, and I am more than a nurse.
Correct.
And so I think we get on this thing where we're just like, I was called into this field and blah blah blah. Like, no, you still have bills to pay, you still have rent, someone's got to put a roof over Moses and Rambo's head, because I got dogs to feed, you guys. So these things do matter. We get so much, I think that we get taken advantage of in nursing, because you have to be a certain kind of person to be in this field. You have to be empathetic. You have to be willing to give yourself of others. I've gone a 12-hour shift without peeing, without eating. Why? My patients needed me.
I have literally fed her Snickers.
This is true.
I was literally, like,
in slipping you in an
isolation. Yeah, because you were, like, literally would not leave your bedside.
My room, and I just stuck my little face out the door.
And I'm like, here,
put food in my. Oh,
yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, that happens.
Whatchamacallem, Joint Commission.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Whatever.
Yeah, I haven't gotten my break in freaking...
Yeah,
no,
you're okay
I
with me
can't.
wearing a bandana around my face, but I can't have water at the nurse's station. Well, guess what? I haven't peed in 12 hours and I haven't eaten. So if this girl's going to shove a Snickers in my mouth and feed me a sip of water so that I don't die in this patient's room, you can come talk to me about it, Joint Commission. Let's talk. Hit me up. Find me on
Fighting
Instagram.
words. We're taking it down.
So yeah, we've been through a lot. So it takes a special kind of person to be a nurse. You have to, it is a demanding job, and you are giving all of yourself to your patients, and you are giving it your all. So that's not to be said, like, sometimes we do get on that high horse because, damn it, we earned that. We deserve that recognition and title. But at the same time, I think that's where we get taken advantage of, because people want to, and especially management wants to suck you in and pull on those heartstrings of like, you're doing such good work. And it's like, okay, but compensate me for it still. It doesn't mean that we don't deserve appropriate compensation, appropriate breaks, appropriate benefits, patient ratios, all those things. So I think nurses, so many people just accept that, well, that's how nursing is. And I'm like, that doesn't mean it's right. When you have crappy patient ratios, and we live in California, we're living the good life. Some of this shit can I say shit on your podcast?
You can say
some of the shit that
want.
we hear about in other states and their ratios, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh yeah,
that is absurd.
And I will say that's a big thing, and I feel like the standard, I hope California is helping to set that standard for everyone else in the country.
It should be national.
It should be nationally,
because sometimes I complain about our ratios in the NICU days.
I know,
and I'm like, I hear about these other states, and I'm like, I couldn't hack it in another state. 100%. I'm a big baby here. So in general, we accept that we're gonna be worked hard, we're gonna have heavy loads, poor ratios, that our breaks are sometimes iffy, and we just accept it, and that our pay sometimes isn't what it should be. We should be making a lot more. Teachers should be making more. I'm just going to throw that out there during COVID. Yeah. If you're a teacher, you deserve higher pay. Boom, mic drop. Anyways, back to nursing. We should be paid. One, we're educated. We work hard. We do 12-hour shifts. It's physically demanding as well as mentally demanding. I go home more mentally exhausted than I do physically exhausted. Yeah. Shout out to my compression socks. But in general, we accept that that's the way it is. And so it's okay, I guess where I'm going with all of this, to make decisions in your career based on financial decisions. You don't have to be this martyr of like, well, I just want to do the best for my patients. I don't care. It's not about money. It's not about money. And I actually got that when I got hired at that other job that was way higher paying. People would talk shit on me and other friends that worked there and be like, well, you guys are just going there for the money. It's not about money. They were actually really great to us. We always had a break nurse. We were a union. We always had a break nurse. I would get back from break, and 20 minutes later, they'd be like, are you ready for break? I'm like, what? Didn't I just go on break? I am so confused right now. I've never taken this many breaks in my life. The teamwork was great there. My coworkers were amazing. It's not just about money. But at the same time, bitch, I got bills. I got a life to live. I want to retire one day. I want to go on vacation. Like, don't act like it's not okay to, in nursing, worry about how much money you make. It matters. We're not doing this for free out of the kindness of our heart. It takes a special type of person to be a nurse, but we're not just doing this. It's not a volunteer work. So if you want to volunteer, go on a medical mission. There's ways as nursing that you can make meaningful impacts in the world and give your knowledge and time for free and make a difference. But again, you worked hard to get where you are, and it's okay to demand appropriate compensation for it. So if you're making job decisions based on things like finances, don't feel bad about it. Yeah. Boom.
And I will also say this too. Just to stem off of that
wild tangent.
That was a great tangent.
I had a lot to say.
That was a really good one. As you know, stemming off of that, you're never just let's put this out there. You're never gonna find the perfect job. I'm just gonna put it out there.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Like the one that's gonna pay you the amount that you feel you should be paid, the one where you get the holidays off and the weekends off, or you get this perfect schedule that you want, or that you're 100% happy in,
getting a ton of breaks.
It's not going to happen. Like I hate to burst the bubble. That doesn't exist. Here we are.
Also, if you're a new grad, you're going to work night shift. Suck it up.
And holidays.
suck it up and weekends.
Don't feel bad.
Do your time.
I mean, the amount of I can't.
Actually, I've been a nurse
when I
for
hear
9
that,
years. I
I'm
work Thanksgiving and Christmas this year.
I feel bad. So here's the thing. Like, I
there.
remember being a new nurse and being like so
Grateful to be there.
Yeah.
Just to even be hired.
I hope that that's how new nurses are coming in and just being like, I'm just going to work it. I know I am. Like, look, guys, here's the other thing, too. I hate to burst your bubble on this. Holidays can be celebrated wherever the fuck you want. It doesn't matter. My whole family, we move holidays to Friday. Like, I always work Thanksgiving. My family knows I just freaking work it. Because here's the thing. You make Thanksgiving pay. And then the next day, Friday or Saturday or Sunday, which you can have the weekend off, hopefully, because you work at a place that they will actually give you the weekend off if you actually work the holiday. You're going to make the pay. And then, by the way, you still get to have your damn turkey on Friday. Like, who the fuck cares if it's on the holiday day?
It's true.
Okay, we don't have kids yet. Shout out to all the moms out there. I get it. Whatever, you want to be on there. But
I'm actually glad I work Christmas this year because I can avoid all my family. And this year I kind of just want to.
I just like, oh yeah, that's another hack, you guys, by the way. If you hate your family.
I love my family, but honestly, this year I just
it's okay to say that.
I'm cool with just like working the holidays.
Just work the holiday and make the damn holiday pay. The holiday pay, you guys.
I need it because I just can't. Like, this Botox ain't free.
I know, right? You gotta catch up. Okay, so, sorry, we're tying it back to how much we make. Okay, so I want to give you the top, we're gonna do the top maybe 10 top highest paying nursing jobs. Okay, so number 1, you're probably gonna guess it.
CRNA.
Yes.
Boom.
How much do you think the median pay? Where are we at?
I'm gonna lowball it because they're probably making in the low 100s, but I know CRNAs that make over 200.
Yeah. This is saying 167 a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
And okay, again, you guys, this is going to vary by state, by your facility. It's going to vary by like what health benefits they're giving you.
Or
like
you even work outpatient surgery, like plastic surgeons' offices use CRNAs sometimes too.
Okay, number 2, a general nurse practitioner. So we're talking your FNPs, your PNPs. What's the rough pay, you think?
Like 120? 130?
This is saying 107, but I think it's actually higher.
Though, too. Yeah. So
yeah, I think it's a little higher. Well, in California, I want to say the rough starting, if you're full-time FNP, I think is about 120. That's about right.
Which is why I didn't want to go to NP school, because
I know.
I make more than that.
So here's the reality, you guys. I will say this too. If you work in California, okay, this is X out everything else because this is a California factor. And I will say this is a very big factor for all of us who live here. So in California, we make very good money at the bedside.
Yes. Compared to other states.
But
our cost of living is trash.
It's awful.
FYI, I pay over $2,000 a month in rent for a 1-bedroom
also,
apartment.
so like if I see $3,500 on my paycheck, I'm really getting like $1,800 in my bank account. Yeah. That's just a fact. Cold, hard fact.
Our state tax is also trash.
Our state tax is trash. Our cost of living is trash. But
our gas is like $9 billion.
But
we make
good money at the bedside. Compared to, so this is a really big factor for a lot of nurse practitioners. Also in California specifically, you guys, California nurse practitioners and PAs don't work independently yet. They are still technically under
physician's umbrella,
which is a different factor than, for example, in New York where they work independently, other states where they work independently. So these are kind of some factors. Anyway, next one would be a number 3, clinical nurse specialist. How much do you think? CNS. How much do you think is CNS?
150, 140?
This is saying 106.
106. Oh, yeah, because this is...
But yeah, I feel like that's probably right.
That probably actually makes more sense. I don't see them
making that as much as... Yeah. Next one is a psych nurse practitioner. They actually, I think they make more.
Like 120.
Yeah.
130, yeah.
Yeah, so this is saying 105 as the median pay.
Again, I think it depends what state you are. These are
correct.
So regional.
But a psych NP, if I was in California...
They do pretty well. I would...
Yeah, psych NPs, CRNAs, that's definitely where the money's at. That'd be a good one. Actually, anywhere, that'd be a good one. Next one, number 5, certified nurse midwife.
Like 100?
Yeah, 103 is that's what this one's saying. Neonatal
I'd rather
nurse.
Just be an L&D nurse, do a couple overtime shifts.
I know.
Not have the liability, the malpractice
you
insurance.
Could work, yeah.
Just saying.
I know.
And then you paid all that money.
It's not every state, but that is like, yeah. Neonatal nurse practitioner.
Oh, sup.
Hi.
think it varies by state.
This one's saying 102. I think it's definitely like the median.
I think it depends on,
state to state would be differently.
System.
Here, I would...
Non-union is always a huge thing for any bedside nurse.
I think here,
but
full-time
nurses are usually going to...
Maybe 130.
I
don't know.
More.
That would be my guess. The next one being a pain management nurse. They're guessing 101.
Okay.
I'm getting that. Nurse administrator as number 8.
Like 100.
Yeah, 99.
Okay. I'm good with this.
Oh, just kidding. So number 9 is at family nurse practitioner. So that's actually below nurse administrator, which kind of surprises me. This one is saying the median is 98. I actually believe that though. Yeah. FNPs, like primary care, they just don't make as much.
Pay you.
Yeah.
Our whole healthcare system and insurance system is
jacked.
Fucked.
Yeah.
Sorry about it. But
that was number 10. Oh wait, no, number 10 is registered nurse. Oh, first assist.
Like surgery.
Yes.
Yeah. So I shadowed at a plastic surgeon's office a year ago, right before, almost 2 years. I don't know when I did this, a year ago. When I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grow up before I went full-time teaching.
Love that.
I still would love to work in a plastic surgeon's office. I love plastic surgery. And I love Botox,
that would be
especially
really
the Botox perks and all that. I would love that. But it was really cool. And that was to be more like the circulating pre-op, post-op, and circulating nurse. But watching the first assist, I'm like, that's such a cool job.
Yeah.
To be like, they're like hands-on helping that surgeon with a lot of things. That's a really rad job.
Yeah.
I feel like they make more than that.
So this is saying
it depends where.
It's saying 96, which probably 100, which maybe in California terms, like let's call it 110, 120 for a full-time gig. I'm assuming they also probably do 40 hours a week. A lot of these places, you guys, a lot of those jobs are 40 hours a week. So that's just a base. Okay. So those are the top 10 highest
nurse
paying.
Educator? Of course they get
nurse educator. Well, okay, nurse educator is number 12.
Oh, okay.
And they're saying the median on here is 81.
Oh God, I wouldn't do that for 81. Sorry.
So, AKA, we know you're making.
No, it really depends on, again, location, private school, public school, and their pay system. I'm a salaried person as a nurse educator, whereas the other school I worked for, they paid you by the amount of units you taught. I don't know. So
that one, 81, I would say it's definitely more than that. It's more than that.
There's not a lot of money in education unless you end up being in administration or a dean, or you go teach at a private school that's going to compensate you differently.
Number 13 is informatics nurse, which is super interesting. Actually,
electronic health records and all that, there is so much room for growth. And just technology and healthcare, there's honestly huge growth and room for career expansion in
informatics. Or so I know someone who works for a university hospital here in California. She's getting her DNP in informatics because I think she's never worked bedside ever. And she went
for her.
Yeah. And she went, and this is one of Jacob's good friends. It's his sister. And she works for this university hospital, came in, was working informatics, and then they basically asked her to get her master's. She got it. And then they asked her to get her NP. They're compensating the whole thing. And they want her to come in and become this, informatics specialist. So, essentially, it's all tech. It has to do with, work. It's, workflows.
We're just, getting into the, beginning of tech and healthcare.
Yes.
Honestly, when I started as a nurse, there was still paper charting.
Yeah.
And I am not that old of a nurse.
Same.
So come on,
we were transferring over some things even in our hospital.
We started med scanning. I was a super user for medication.
That was 7 years ago.
No, that was in 2012.
Was that? Yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
But when I started, I was a CNA in nursing school, and we did paper flow sheet charting when I was a CNA. And this was at a university teaching hospital in Southern California.
Yeah.
Major hospital system.
Mm-hmm.
Still using paper charting in 2011.
Damn.
So we have a lot of room.
Actually, I will say that too. They're at in U of A, UMC had still some paper charting as well. Back in 2000, when was I there? 9, 10.
I mean, I still do paper charting because I'm on a helicopter. They
that's
talked about
different.
getting us like iPads one day, and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to fuck around with the technology like that. Well,
yeah, it's just easier to write.
It's honestly sometimes easier just to write in that situation.
How is it to write in a helicopter?
Helicopter is easy unless you hit turbulence, and then I'm just like, I want to live.
Do you get sick?
I get more sick in the ambulance than I do the helicopter, because the ambulance, there's one in particular that, like, I don't know, the shock on it or whatever. I don't know things about cars, but it is a bumpy ride and it makes me a little car sick. I've only felt sick one time in the helicopter, and it's because it was so hot and the turbulence was really bad, and we were flying like IFR, so you couldn't see out the window, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna throw up. But, usually I don't, but I have some coworkers that have to take like Zofran every time they fly. They get like
that's crazy.
sick. I am fortunate to not. I don't think I could do that job if I did, but it is very hard riding in the back of a helicopter or ambulance.
I don't think
so I don't know. I don't think I'd even want the technology in that field. So, but there's so much room for growth in informatics.
Number 14 on here is critical care nurse.
Yeah, we're pretty cool.
So they're saying the median on that is 74,000. I mean, in California, okay, just to be...
I feel like new grads start out like that in California
and
New York.
I will say, like, if I worked full-time at my hospital that's not ours together, I would probably make 120 a year as a full-time nurse there.
It's so hard. I don't have a good grasp on it because I've never not had like multiple jobs. And since I like the first 2 years of nursing or 3 years of nursing is the only time that I like only had one job. And on top of that, I think I get so warped because I was overtime queen. So I never even know what my like salary really looked like without working buttloads of overtime.
Yeah, I have like... You guys, I'm doing the math on it. It's like 130 a year.
Oh. I've never done the math.
But the taxes would be out the roof.
But I've been part-time as an RN since 2016.
Okay, so that's the other thing, too, we want to talk about. I want to talk about that because you and I have both been full-time, part-time, nights, per diem. I've done travel. We've switched units.
I've done adjunct as an educator. I'm now a full-time educator. Yeah. And I have commitment issues. I don't ever want to be full-time.
Both of us have commitment issues. I think we're okay, but I don't know.
I committed to full-time teaching. That was a big commitment.
That is a big commitment. I mean, that's pretty good, but it's different.
I just booked a trip to Tahiti next March, and I had to get permission to like book that trip because of teaching. And it's in March, so I had to approve this trip I haven't been on vacation once since I started teaching full time because it's literally a full time job. My students need me all the time.
Well, it's interesting because I still think we really are in this generation of like we don't want to be tied down. Like a lot of us take the per diem jobs. We'll pay for our healthcare on our own
of your
because you have the flexibility. Some places don't offer as high rate per diem as others or the flexibility as others. So it's not always as beneficial, but a lot of the per diem jobs out there are. I mean, they pay really well.
Yeah.
So it's like I can work 2 or 3 shifts a week and
the same as you would full time somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like, it just kind of depends. I always had that
flexibility of being part time at one place, per diem at the other, and I worked very like on my terms, and that's why I had very much commitment issues with teaching full time because I am tied down to 2 days a week in the classroom that are set and doesn't ever change, so that really impacts my schedule. And then I basically like can never go on vacation. With nursing, you could stack your stuff, not even take PTO, stack your shifts and have 14 days off and never even use 1 day of vacation time. Now with teaching, it's like I am tied down, but I love the job, so it is what it is. But
and this goes back to the whole idea
of my Tahiti trip, but I got it approved 6 months in advance.
You go, girl.
Whew,
you get yourself.
Wait.
I mean, here's the thing, you guys, and that goes back to there's no perfect anything, right?
There's nothing. You've got to figure out what's best for your life.
You just have to figure out what's best, and that's totally fine. So this was something I found as we're rounding out this whole conversation. We're going to answer some of your questions, but just some funny things that I found when I was doing some research. Okay, so I typed in 20 things you can do with a nursing degree, or like the topic was like things you can do with a nursing degree. Cry a lot in a closet in the utility room.
Eat snacks.
And some really funny things came up that I'm like, I don't think I ever would have. This is like not where my head went. But okay, so one of them being a NASCAR nurse. You guys,
I don't even want to go to NASCAR.
Apparently, that's a
thing.
As
a spectator.
Yeah. So okay, this is where this person is saying that she is a nurse that manages the data.
Catch on fire.
I don't know.
Don't they need,
She
like, a
manages the
little
day-to-day operations of her department, medical needs of the racing series. I'm sure she cares for people that have the injuries. She works with several full-time nurses at NASCAR headquarters. Wow. So that's a thing. Okay.
Okay.
Medical script nursing, that's boring. We already know that. Camp nursing. So they're saying that
I like peds, but there's not... Like, that could be a $200K a year salary, and you couldn't get me to be a camp nurse.
I don't know. It's kind of cool. Like horsemanship, whitewater canoeing.
Oh, see, these all sound awful.
Yeah.
I don't like nature.
I don't know. I might be down for that. Like water activities,
that sounds
archery.
like my worst nightmare.
So this is through the Association of Camp Nurses, the ACN.
If you like nature, this is your calling.
Also, this is so this is where they would hire you to work with the kid. Like, if you're going on a trip with kids who have mental disabilities, cancer, special populations, that's an option. Cool. Hey, you know what? There's something out there for everyone. Disney nurse.
That's a thing. Disney nurse. A thing. We live in SoCal.
I actually think I would hate that.
Me too.
I hate crowds.
Disneyland.
I don't do that.
I don't hate Disneyland. I lied, but I don't like crowds.
Well, okay, so you can serve as a nurse in their guest services on the Disneyland resorts, because there's several of those.
Honestly, there's like a lot of... All theme parks have nurses, so like...
Yeah.
Six Flags, Universal, the whole Magic Kingdom system in Florida, like... Yeah, theme park nursing is a real thing.
Okay, another one.
Disneyland has their own fire department. Did you know that?
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyways.
They would. Yacht nursing, you guys. I'm kind of here for that.
Cruise ships.
I'm really here for that.
Cruise ship nurse.
I mean, kind of shitty right now because COVID, but
people
in
die
the
on
heyday,
cruise ships and stuff, though.
They do. They do die, and they also get sick. But then they could also come with you for
but also, like,
question.
honestly, you really want to be the cruise ship nurse when there's a norovirus outbreak.
Oh,
whew.
Yuck.
Oof. But that's a great way to travel and see the world.
Totally. Flight nurse is on here too.
Sup, guys? That's the best job. Maybe I'm biased, but
I think that's actually pretty cool.
It's so rad. I'm not even gonna lie.
I mean, you get to see
how
some
cool it is
things.
to wear a flight suit too.
It's also very like I feel like your adrenaline rush every now and then.
I am an adrenaline junkie, so I love getting up in the helicopter.
There's a transgender youth nurse.
Love that.
I'm here for this.
Here for this.
Okay, so
we need more of that. If you're interested in that, please. We need to better serve our LGBTQ community in healthcare. And that's a whole other podcast we could do another day.
Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, there's a whole other one. So this is saying that this nurse who wrote into this one, she says she helps her with educating her parents, making sure they understand how to give themselves their hormone injections, applying their binders for their chests, and their day-to-day issues. I think that's really cool.
Love that.
Yeah, so this is through the Center for Trans Youth Development at Children's Hospital LA. That's really cool. Good. All right, so see you guys. There's so much out there. Love that. Health policy nurse. I actually think, okay, if I had been in nursing school and I heard that, I probably would vomit. But right now I'm pretty interested in that just because I feel like there's so many things that we need to work on.
Honestly, we didn't even touch on this, but do you know there's a whole world of nursing, like activism and policy? So when I did my leadership classes, I actually had to go meet with a local legislator about a current healthcare bill in progress. And there was this bill, it was like AB something something. Now it's been a hot minute, but it was about violence towards healthcare staff in the emergency room department and actually having charges like elevated.
Oh, so this is
it was like what they're being charged with, and I was so interested in that, and I was like, yeah, we should be fighting for more reform and policy. And when I say policy, I mean laws, like legislation. And so there's actually a whole world of like nursing advocacy and legislation that
so this is actually exactly what so this is saying health policy nurses do not work with patients at the clinical level. Rather, they work and influence to create public policies that will ultimately lead to healthier population, as you stated. So they work in research firms, government offices, healthcare organizations.
I feel like this is something I could see myself
doing.
Oh,
totally. You're fiery enough for it too.
I get fired up about everything. So
this is saying they make about $95 annually. So, aka we'd probably make a little more.
You gotta demand that salary,
you guys, you gotta negotiate. It's all about the negotiation, okay? Nurse health coach. I am here for this.
Stop. I feel like I am a wannabe in this.
Yes. Okay, so this one is...
I love health and fitness industry.
I know. I think because we're getting so open-minded to this.
But 2020 hit, and I was dabbling in this arena, and I would like to restructure and get back into this. This is the passionate side hustle that I'm into.
Yeah.
But
you're kind of going in there. So this one is saying these nurses or coaches work in a variety of settings, including insurance companies, corporations, consulting firms, and self-employed with their own practice, which I think is really great.
That's where I would like to get into eventually.
Love that.
Love it.
Love this. Okay, so, this one's a really good one.
What?
Cannabis nurse.
Okay, that's a thing?
You guys, what?
Is this Denver?
I'm obsessed.
Or California?
Okay, so wait, I'm just going to read you the whole thing, okay? As more states realize the benefits of medical marijuana and make it legal, desperate patients need guidance on how to properly use these substances to treat their life-limiting illnesses and conditions. So here my head goes to oncology patients.
Yes, my sister's an oncology nurse.
Yes, and they do actually CBD and THC are really big in that.
There's this one drug population that removed the THC. I don't remember what it's.
No, they still give the THC to some.
No, there's something that we use.
That's still a thing. Because of marijuana's unique status of federal illegality. God, you guys, sorry, I can't talk. Cannabis nurses must also assist their patients in navigating these gray areas and empowering their patients with information. So this is actually through, if you're interested in looking this up, American Cannabis Nurses Association. That is a thing.
Wow. Cool.
That's a thing, and I will probably link this in the show notes because I think it's super interesting. When you're talking bachelor's degrees, these are just some basic things roles that I just think there's so many roles, you guys. Travel nurse.
There's so much more besides just what you think of as a typical nurse.
School nurse, forensic nursing.
There's a wide world out there.
Case manager. You could be a physician office. You could work in a physician office. I don't think that would be my thing, but, there's just so many. Prison nurse. Actually, prison nursing is really big.
I toured a jail while I was in public health, and I was like, I went home and I was like, Dad, I want to be a jail nurse. And he's like, no. And I was like, no. I loved MSNBC Lockup.
Oh, yeah.
I used to watch that show
You're
all
definitely,
the time.
There's a couple shows that you definitely have gone down. I'm like, yeah, I could see you doing this.
So I was like, I so want to do this. But then...
Home health nursing.
Hospice. I love hospice.
Hospice nursing. Cosmetic nursing, as you guys know.
Love aesthetic nursing.
Love that.
Love Botox.
Oncology. Plastic surgery. Burns. Travel nursing, we said that. Charity nursing. Rural nursing, that's just kind of more geographical. Nurse anesthetists, you know that. FNPs. Clinical nurse leaders. God, you guys, it's just nurse midwife, diabetic management nurse. Actually, I didn't know this, but that's an actual, it's either a specialty or a certification that you can get. Okay, certifications. Let's talk about that really quick.
Can we talk about wound care nursing really quick?
Okay, go.
Wound care is cool.
I can't,
hate
but
ostomies because they're gross, but so usually they're wound ostomy nurses. I actually got really good at ostomies in the NICU. It was kind of like arts and crafts, and nothing felt better than putting on a perfect ostomy and it lasting
okay, we'll say that
a couple days. But wound care, oh God, I love wound care. If I could just pack a fat wound, I would be so happy, you guys.
That's but
I don't like adults. And the wound care in children is not as gnarly as adults. Adults, you have diabetics and you've got other injuries and things, necrosis, all this.
The foot disease. What's that? The green foot, gangrene.
But I love wounds, and I would be so down to be a wound care nurse if it didn't mean I had to interact with adults, because I've firmly planted myself in the pediatric world and I don't see myself straying from that. But
definitely not for everybody, but
wound care is awesome.
The thing
they have wound care specialties too.
The thing about wound care nursing, which is really cool and enticing to a lot of people, is very autonomous.
Oh yeah, you are running your own show. You're seeing your patients, you're making their care plan for how to dress, treat these wounds, care for these wounds.
Yeah. You get to work, and I think that's actually very intriguing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that role.
I like flight nursing because it's very autonomous.
Yes, you guys are too.
And we're up in the sky, and we're doing our thing.
Yeah.
I like autonomy.
Obviously, we didn't talk about this, but healthcare manager, nurse administrator, you can go those routes too.
That's
nurse education.
Yes.
It's not for us, but, you know, there's a room for it.
There's something for everyone. Every pot has a lid.
Correct. That's good.
Every pot has
Look
a
at
lid.
you being all PC.
I usually say that about the dating world.
Yeah.
There's someone for everyone. Every pot has a lid. But it also
Every top has a kettle.
It also applies to nursing. Every pot has a lid.
Okay, before we round this out completely, certifications, let's talk about it real quick.
Okay, so for you graduating nursing school, I get that question all the time. What cert should I get? It depends. One, what field do you want to go into? If you want to go into critical care, get ACLS. If you want to go into peds in general, get PALS. If you want to go into NICU, get neonatal resuscitation, your NRP, and then Stable's is another one. Mm-hmm. Good one for specifically NICU.
Correct.
Everyone's like, should I get it now or should I wait for my job? Most new grad programs will pay for you to get your cert, but it is a matter of, do you want to be competitive at your interview and already have them? And then there's other certifications, like if you want to go into CVICU or a tele unit, you might want to do some sort of EKG class.
Right.
Anything to show that you have had an interest in the area, the specialty that you're applying to. That's going to show, hey, I specifically wanted more education in this field, is going to look good. Pretty
much the way that I put it. This is the way I put it, you guys. If you are thinking about applying to a job, or you're in the process, or you're like, you either have attained a job you hate or you are looking for a job right now, assume there is someone else out there that has done whatever it is you're thinking about doing. Okay. So what I'm talking is working harder.
Beat you in your interview.
I want you to always think like an athlete. I want you to always think competitively when you get to this, because you want to be the best person showing up for that job. You want to be on your A game. And I'm very much into that mindset of bringing your best self to your hospital, whatever your setting is.
This is where I'm also going to drop Tori's blog. You need to go read her thing about interview tips.
Oh, yeah.
And just how to dress appropriately.
Yes. I'm very much, you guys, I need to do a boot camp, okay? Yes. I want to boot camp everybody. I want you to show up looking at an interview like you are
interviewing to be the CEO of the hospital.
Yes. I want you in a suit. I want you, not in a suit, but a nicely tailored looking feminine. If you're a girl, I actually love a power suit moment. Thank you for a power suit moment, okay? Yes. I want you to look sharp, simple hair, you know.
Guy, throw on the tie. There's no such thing as being overdressed for an
interview. When you are going in for your nursing interview, I like that. And I will say, okay, I have seen certain nurses who are going in, if you're like going in for a job up in the mountains and it's a totally different, like there is such a thing as a time and a place.
There's outliers to everything we say.
Yes.
This is never a one size fits all.
Correct.
But it's a fits most.
But I'm going to say, always dress nicer than you think you should.
Yes. Like, well, when I interviewed for transport, it was internal interview. I was already working at the facility, the same hospital in the NICU, and then I was interviewing for a different department, and they said, hey, come do your interview after your shift. So obviously I was in scrubs. I just worked a 12-hour shift.
And I'm talking every single interview.
When I went to my original interview for the NICU, I wore a business suit. I had a briefcase. I don't even know where the fuck I got a briefcase, because why do I need one? But
okay, so I will say this.
The part.
Even as she said, I did the same thing with my recent job with critical care float pool.
It was beautiful.
You show up 5 minutes early. You show up, not 5, 10.
15.
Let's do 15 minutes early, okay? Turn the damn phone off. Make sure you are
off, not on mute.
Off. I want you showing up nice. And I am someone, even like she said, I showed up in a suit. I have a suit that I wear for every single interview. That is what it is. It's the navy one. It's on my blog. That's what I wear. I think it's like J. Crew. I love it. It's a powerhouse moment. I feel really good in it, and I love that. Okay, so there's that. Portfolio. Always show up with portfolio, please. Have extra copies of everything. Make sure you spruce up your...
how many people are going to be in your interview so you can bring that many copies of your resume.
Assume that whoever's interviewing has nothing, because half the time managers show up to your interview, they forget, or they don't have something, or they lost something, or they don't have the certification for that, or they don't have your resume. Like, bring it all just in case.
It shows that you're prepared. You want to be there.
You want to be there.
Seriously.
First, best foot forward. Bleh, I can talk.
First impressions matter.
Yes, they do. What else?
Even resumes have come so far. Like, people are personalizing them now with like a picture of themselves.
So yeah, I actually like that.
They look at your resume and they're like, oh, I remember her face.
Yes.
I liked how she interviewed, but or he. I liked how they interviewed.
Yeah.
But
I do like that. And
like a new thing
Ariel
I'm
kind of
seeing.
talked about, Ari
Oh,
came
she
on.
did.
She talked about this. She's so cute. She actually spruced up her resume because she's a cosmetic nurse, and so she got fun with it and did colors and da-da-da-da. I would not recommend that if you were going for a job in a hospital, but I actually am not opposed to a picture on there. I think there's a good...
If you asked me a long time ago, I would have been like, no. But now, it's like they interview so many people. And then how do they remember which one you were?
Yeah. Work that in somehow. Okay, and then I want to talk about really quick... So that's more of the resume stuff. You guys, fabulous. Moving into national certifications. So
once you've been employed.
Correct.
So those are good certifications that give you an edge up applying to your jobs. And then a lot of specialties require you, like on transport, I have to have ACLS, PALS, and NRP because in PEDS, we take care of people that are even up to their early 20s. So I take care of adult critical care, pediatric critical care, and I go pick up small baby micro preemies that are 24 weeks. I take care of literally everything. So I have to have all three of those certifications and I have to renew them every 2 years. But now additionally,
so your RNC, what's your other certification?
Just like PALS, NRP, ACLS, those are like just your normal certs. But
the national certifications.
But now national certifications, as a NICU nurse, I got my RNC NIC, which is your neonatal intensive care certification. I now have my C-NPT, which is Certified Peds Neonatal Transport Nurse. Okay. There's so many others. There's CCRN, that's critical
care. There are
care.
Literally, I think there's hundreds of them.
There's ones for OB, there's one for Peds. My sister's
critical care,
oncology. She has her chemo certification.
So basically what, the national certifications is specifically what I'm talking about is you have to have 2 years of experience.
You don't have to have them for your job. But
you don't have to have them.
Show that you are certified in your specialty to provide top level care.
But again, this is something, you guys, where I feel, this is my feeling about it, I think it's wise to do because we are in this, this place of healthcare where we're trying to advance, more education. Everyone's becoming even more, like, everyone's kind of stepping up to the plate.
Well, if you want to leave from one job to another also, so us, say in the NICU world, you want to apply to a different hospital as a NICU nurse, and you and I both apply. I have my RNC NIC, my NICU certification.
They will take us over someone who doesn't.
They're going to be like, oh, well, they both have bachelor's degrees, but this one has their NICU cert and this one
And then
doesn't.
Let's say you're applying to a job and you have an MSN and I only my bachelor's. There you go. They're going to take her over
Especially
me.
magnet hospitals. Yeah. They want a certain percentage of their nurses to be certified in their specialty.
Yes. So just get used to the idea of you're going to be lifelong learning. I think that's something that people don't really understand coming into the nursing. You think, oh, you're going to go in and clock out. I really don't think that's the case anymore. I do feel like there's this endless, not endless, but like lifelong learning as it should be. We are in the business of humans.
Because everything changes too. We do not take care of patients the same way we did when I first became a nurse. And I've only been a nurse for 9 years.
Yeah.
Things have changed. What we thought was best practice 9 years ago is not best practice anymore. What we thought was best practice 4 years ago is not best practice anymore. It's always changing because we're researching, we're learning to do better. And even now, I think the changes that are going to come post-COVID era are going to be astronomical because we are learning so much in healthcare. So we are always learning because we're always advancing in healthcare. And you need to stay up to date on those advancements.
Okay, so we're going to jump into some questions that we got from you guys. So go ahead, Sammy.
Okay, so I got one about certifications, but I think we already just fully touched on that. I got another one that says, do you guys know any psych NPs? Can you tell us what you know about their pay/work life? I think we already went over pay as far as psych NPs was what number?
They make good money.
2 or 3? It was in that top
work life. I feel like
I think it depends on hospital and structure because every hospital is going to structure their NP schedules differently. So are you one that, and it depends on your contract. Do you
I
have
feel
to
like
work
a lot.
weekends?
There might be a lot of telehealth right now.
Do you have to work holidays? Yeah.
Too. Telehealth might be a bit
We're in a weird time, but in general, I think it depends so much on your individual facility is what they expect from you out of weekends, out of holidays. Are you a Monday through Friday 9 to 5? Are you doing 12-hour shifts?
I could be wrong.
Are you on call?
I feel like they're a 9 to 5.
It depends, though. Are you in like a psych hospital? Are you an outpatient setting? There's so many different avenues. So that work-life balance is really going to depend on your hospital setting and specifically like what you're looking for to find out. The pay is good, though. So we can just say straight up right off the bat, the pay for a psych NP is great. As far as work-life balance, you kind of have to find the hospital setting that's right for you, and they're all going to have different requirements. So it's kind of hard to answer that because it's so unique to the specific employer.
I mean, it's good to know. I will say financially, if you're looking for financial, they make good money.
Yeah.
I think those programs are tough, but if you get through it and you enjoy it and you love it, go for it. This is one, NICU education resources and how to teach yourself in a unit where the education is lacking. That's a good one.
I feel like we've been there before.
We've definitely been there.
One time we had an educator that we didn't maybe necessarily get along with the best.
Correct.
And Tori and I very strongly advocated for more class opportunities. And we did have to go to management and advocate for ourselves for saying, hey, we need this education. We want to know this. We're young. I think we were both about 2 years in. Yeah. 2 to 3 years in. And so
I will say this too. We are in really weird times right now. COVID, right?
Right now is so everyone has different priorities right now than they did a year ago. Yeah. Because it's taken over.
I think that is, I will say this.
And tired.
This person, I think, had been working on her unit for years, and it seems like it's a repetitive issue.
Ongoing problem.
If it's an ongoing problem and you are that strong about it, I honestly would consider leaving. If you'd feel like you need to grow.
Me too, because systemic change takes a long time. No hospital is just going to turn around their way that they provide education overnight. Sure, they can take steps in the right direction, but if you don't feel like that they're fostering those needs for you and you have enough experience to go somewhere else where they're going to have a higher emphasis on education and nurse-based change and activities where they have committees that you can join and be part of those changes, then you probably are at the point in your career where you can start looking for places that really value that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's hard because normally what I would say maybe is like, okay, go take initiative to go to a conference. Maybe get your RNC. Yeah. Get your RNC, really push yourself in that way, maybe seek some things. But I really am a person that I learn on the job, and so part of it is, either learning from nurses around you and trying to really go above and beyond to learn from them, or you're just going to have to move.
I also think you need to go where it makes you happy and is a good environment for you, because you can sit in the same environment and you can ask for change, you can beg for change, you can try to even be part of the change. But at the end of the day, you have to set yourself up for success. And don't sit around stagnant or miserable if you're not happy in your current situation. Don't waste any more time. Go somewhere. There's so many opportunities out there. Go somewhere that's going to make you happy.
This one is best way to look for a nursing job without experience as a CNA or a PCA.
Get a job as a unit secretary.
Secretary's good.
Secretary's the best one. Scribe. Volunteer at the hospital.
Techs.
I volunteered at the hospital that I got my first new grad job at. So did my sister. I was also a CNA, though, at a different hospital. So
and if you are at the tail end of everything, just really try and spruce up that resume, network. Make
the most out of your preceptorship, and that's where you got to network and really get to know people. But if you can work in a healthcare system, that's obviously your best foot in the door, and it doesn't necessarily have to be as a CNA. Like, I have nursing students of mine that work in internal transport, and, they're the ones that take you on a wheelchair to x-ray.
Yeah, but you're still getting a lot of exposure. You get to meet people. You get to see things.
Hey, make friends with the managers on the units that you're picking them up from. If that's the unit you want to work in and you're going there to pick up a patient or drop them back off, swing by and let the manager know, hey, I work in this hospital. Maybe you work in the gift shop at the hospital. I don't know what you do, or volunteer, but you have to put yourself out there. No one just hands you a job. No one says, hey, Tori, want your dream job? No one said, hey, Sam, you want to be a flight nurse? Oh, go interview. No, I emailed the manager myself of that department and introduced myself. She had no idea I existed as a human being, but I decided that's what I want to do. That's the job I want. I'm not qualified for it. Yeah. I had to get all this cross-training done. I was not qualified for that job, but I wanted it. So I emailed the manager, introduced myself, attached my resume, said, can I come to your office and meet with you and talk?
Perfect.
And tell me more about transport. And she did. And she welcomed me, and she saw that ambition in me, and she saw that motivation. as a positive, because obviously I was there because I wanted to be there.
Right.
So same thing. If you're working anywhere in the healthcare system, it doesn't have to be a CNA or a PCA, but doing anything, even if it's volunteering, getting yourself introduced to them and they know your face, they know your name, they know you're excited, they're going to be a lot more likely to want to take a chance on you.
Yes. Okay, and last question, because we have a lot of them, but we're just going to narrow it down. Okay, so hey, Tori, I'm a micro nurse blogger question. Do you recommend disclosing the hospital you work at?
No.
I am announcing my new job, and I want to know also, how do you feel about LinkedIn, and when people find you, thoughts about this, pros, cons, everything.
You're more of a LinkedIn girl than I am.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm a fan. But, okay, there's different reasons why. Okay, yes. So first things first, let's answer.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not trying to find new jobs.
Yeah, ever. So, okay, so here's the thing. First answer, do not disclose the hospital that you work at. I'm not a fan of that.
I don't say where I teach. I don't say what hospital I work at. And if you know, you know.
Nope.
But if you also ask me and you get it right, I'm still going to lie to your face.
Yes.
I'm going to completely be like, no, I don't work there.
Here's the thing, you guys. It's just when you're really getting down to it. So first of all, social media is still newer, right? Healthcare blogging is still on the newer side. And
it's kind of still frowned upon in certain areas.
It is. And it's also, there's a fine line. Like, I see some newer nurses out there. Specifically, I see some NICU nurses who are using some pictures even from Google. And I'm like, you guys need to be very careful about that. So it is, you're still violating something. If you're using you just need to be very careful is what I'm saying. I do not disclose my employer anymore. Did I at one point? Yep, I did. And I don't do that anymore. I have deleted it from my LinkedIn account. I love LinkedIn. If you are running a business, if you are a nurse health coach, if you're trying to promote something, if you are someone.
I think LinkedIn is great. LinkedIn is great. But if you are in terms of deciding you want to go into the nurse blogger world.
Yes.
You probably should distance yourself from LinkedIn at that point, maybe.
I do. And so here's what it is. I've changed my platforms. All of my platforms had to become just very, I want them very on brand to me. And none of the opinions are that of my employer, blah, blah, blah. But
Let's
just need to be
that on
smart.
The record right now. One, you don't know where we work.
No.
But two, none of our opinions in today's podcast or any podcast or anything we post about are in ever any way, shape, or form the opinions of our employer.
Correct.
We are independent thinkers who are speaking on our free time, and we do not represent our employers.
Any blogger who's been around, and I'm talking the bigger nurse bloggers, you guys who are out there, we are all very much on that same page. You just don't, it is not smart to disclose where you work. Now, is it different for doctors? Yes, it's very different for doctors. Even for some reason, I don't even know why, but even some NPs, PAs, it seems more okay. But for nurses, I just don't think it's smart.
What's the point? What benefit do you get out of it?
You can say, like,
None.
I work at a level 4 NICU. I work in a level 1 trauma. I work at a university hospital. Like, you can speak to that, but I just don't think it's wise. And most nurse bloggers will tell you that as well. For some reason, I don't think it's good. It
doesn't seem necessary, though. What do you gain from it?
Right.
I get enough weird DMs. I don't need people to know where I work.
Yeah, that too. I will say this, though, and there are now, you have, like, these Netflix popping up, like Lenox Hill and all these great places where the doctors are clearly, very tied to the hospital. But it's different. It's a different dynamic.
But no, the second that you do that, you are opening yourself up to your employer getting to have an opinion
about
on
what
your
you're
presence
doing.
Because you are making your presence, your affiliation with them known.
Yes.
So you're choosing to make that affiliation.
Yes.
I personally choose not to make any
and that does change your dynamics.
Yes.
A lot.
As it should.
As it should. So I would say, you guys, when it comes to social media, there's a lot of new stuff coming out, like a lot of empowerment for for nurse influencers, in the sense of, like, I'm going to post a bikini pic and I'm going to feel good about it.
About the
Medkini, yes.
Or was it the anesthesiology?
Nursing is what you do, not who you are. Medical is what you do.
Anesthesiology residents that got all that. The whole study made about how they're posting inappropriate pictures and they're calling a bikini inappropriate.
Yeah.
So that started the whole Medkini train.
It's so funny.
And
how does anyone
cool, though, because it did empower women to say, hey, I can be a doctor, I can be a nurse, I can be a physical therapist, I can be whatever in healthcare, and I can wear a bikini if I want.
Yep.
Because why is that okay for men and not women? And so I think that was good conversations to have. But again, I just don't want to be associated with my employer. And guess what? There's a shit ton of bikini pictures on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'm going to Tahiti in 6 months, and there's going to be a shit ton more bikini pictures on my Instagram. And I'm not going to stop that.
You go, you girl.
But again, this is my personal account, and I do not affiliate with anyone. I do not express the opinions of my employers in any way, shape, or form, and I plan to keep it that way.
Yeah, I think it's just wise. You know, when it comes specifically to the LinkedIn, I use LinkedIn very much for my podcast promotion now and for more of the blog and things like that. But, you know, if you're someone who's newer in the nurse world, it's a great tool
for networking and healthcare. But again,
just know what you're using it for.
Yes.
Be smart about it. You guys, like, because here's the thing. If you put it out there on social media, just assume that someone will see it.
So many people have been fired for posting social media content while they're at work.
Yeah.
Because they're tagging their employer and they're like on shift.
Yeah,
like, don't do that.
Yeah. You just need to be smart about how you're doing things. And here's the thing. It's a fine line, right? Like, I like showing you guys a little bit of my hospital life and being relevant and being able to speak to things. And, you know, I do like that. But, you know, you just have to be smart about it. And just don't be, I'm on my break. I'm on my, yes.
Violating HIPAA in any
Correct.
way, shape, or form.
I never do anything
You're
in
not talking about patients.
Correct. And there are, you know, I'm also very careful now about my medical blogging. I've actually stepped away from talking so much about diagnoses or I like talking about dynamics, but I don't really love talking about diagnosis anymore because it could get you into hot water if you're not careful about how you do it.
Yeah.
And if someone sees something and then you get sued for it, like, you just need to be very careful about how you are talking about medical when you're a nurse, because we are not doctors.
Also, just your own political opinions, religious opinions, all that stuff. I'm a very opinionated person. I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, Black Lives Matter. I'm going to say I love the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
We need to do better about our racial disparities and trans care and healthcare. There's so many things, and I get really fired up about that stuff. But again, I don't say where I work because I do like to speak my opinion on certain topics. Mm-hmm. Which is why I feel that I have to separate myself from my employers, because I am speaking independently as Samantha, and these are my personal opinions. So I need to distance myself. If you're not distancing yourself in that way, but you want to have all these opinions and stuff, you can just land yourself in hot water.
Yeah, I would agree. Just be smart about it. Love you guys.
Much love.
Oh my God.
This was fun.
This was so much fun.
When can I come back for round 3?
Oh my God, of course, duh.
I feel like we could do so many podcasts on
we just have topic upon topic, but today I just felt like, just for, you know, the times in, crash course, this is a bird's eye view. Keep in mind, you know, there's a flip side to every single thing that we say, but we really want to just kind of give you guys like a general overall of like what we're seeing and what we experience, and you know, kind of give you guys like just the real tea on what it is. And so I'm really excited. I'm glad that we got to do this today for you guys. So Samantha, where can everyone find you?
Oh, hey girl, hey. It's actually Hey Samantha with 2 A's on the end on the gram.
Yes, Hey Samantha.
I'm there.
So go head over, check her out. And thanks for listening, you guys. Okay, so you guys know this. Please leave us a rate and a review.
Yes, it's so cool to hear your feedback.
Oh my God, it really is.
The podcast I did last time, Tori was sending me the reviews, and it was really awesome.
It's really cool. So if you want to DM Sam, you guys obviously DM her. But if you guys got something valuable out of this episode, please head over. Yeah, we want to hear. I really want to hear, what was your favorite part? What did you learn from? What do you want to hear more from? Send us a review. And
also, let me just say, Tori, you are killing this podcast game. And you guys, those reviews are so important, because I think that Tori has filled such a big void in the podcast community by the types of guests she's been bringing on and exposing everyone to. And I am not biased as her friend. I listen to her podcast every single week. I freaking
Spoon.
love it. So the more that you guys support and rate it and review it and share it, the more opportunities it gives her to improve it.
Yeah,
and
it
make
does.
it better, bring on better guests, give more exposure to more topics and things. So it's just helping build this Selfie podcast up.
Thank you.
I think you've done such an amazing job with it. Like I've been stoked since you've launched it, and I've loved watching it grow. And I think you're just putting out such quality content, and your guys' support allows her to bring you even more content.
Yeah, it really does. You guys, I really do appreciate it, and I do every review. And you guys know this. So I am sending you some swag. Okay, so if you write a review, make sure you leave a handle, your Instagram handle in the review, and I will be sending over you guys some Selfie stickers.
They're so cute.
They're really fun.
She sent me some.
And a selfie badge reel featuring Selena, our selfie icon.
She's a queen.
I love her. And yeah, thank you so much, you guys, for listening. I will list everything in the show notes. Sam will be there right below if you want to swipe up. All of her website will be there. Her Instagram.
SamanthaExplainsit.com.
Yes, Queen, go head over, hit her up. It's amazing. And thank you so much, you guys, for listening. Subscribe.
Much
Love you.